My name is Kelsey, and my coworker just quit on me today. Welcome to the podcast, Can You Take My Shift? This podcast is about bonding with your coworkers, about how much you truly and absolutely positively hate your job. So I just have one question for you, Amy, today. Can you take my shift?
Well, you didn't tell me what day it was on, but whatever day you need covered, I'm already busy. Sorry.
Damn. Amy and I are back today to get into the nitty-gritty. How to make friends with your coworker and all the drama that comes with it as well.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, thank you. That was very dramatic.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. So, my birthday just passed. I turned 25 over the weekend. I had my big champagne birthday, 25 on 25. I mean, it wasn't what I pictured. In my head when I was 14, I imagined I would be a millionaire by now. I'd have a champagne-themed birthday party on the yacht. I'm still in love with Daniel Radcliffe, so that's, of course, when he would have proposed.
Of course.
Around 25 is the perfect age for a proposal, along with the 10-year plan. But instead, we sat around our kitchen table with my 6 best friends. Obviously, because within the parameters of COVID, you do what you can. But no, it was still a great birthday, and if any of my friends are listening, which you all better be, thank you so much for a wonderful birthday.
You're very welcome.
But, so to segue into, since I know what I'm talking about, because today we're talking about being friends with your coworkers, every single person around that table has been my coworker at one point.
Which is pretty wild if you think about it, because who has, 6 people that they've all worked with at one point around their table, you know?
And I currently work with none of them.
Yeah.
So, I've kept them. So I know how to make friends with your coworkers and keep them. I mean, that's not necessarily always going to happen, but, I've kept you all for a while. I think you're all pretty attached to me by now.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, yeah, we could have been on the yacht. Now we're just filming on the floor of our apartment making a podcast, so.
I still think we won.
Yeah. So, anyways, let's talk about making friends with a coworker. Because if anyone is curious on how to make friends with a coworker, I'm going to kind of break it down, the easiest ways to do it, at least in my past experiences. So, when you start a new job, you kind of suss out the situation. Now, it's easiest, of course, to make friends with your coworkers when you have stuff working for you. One, if everyone is around the same age as you, a lot easier to become friends. And then, when I take one of my first jobs, I worked at a movie theater. It was one of my very first jobs. I worked with everyone was between the ages of 15 and I think 22. There was only a couple outliers who were older. And so it was easy because everyone's in the same age bracket. And then it was one of the easiest segues to make friends with someone because you'd be like, hey, this movie just came out. I want to see it. And you all get movies for free. So it's not like anyone's investing any money or any time. And you just be like, oh, you want to see the new Ryan Reynolds movie? So do I. You go see the movie together. You talk while you wait. And it's a very easy segue into becoming friends. But then there's other jobs where example, I've worked at a drugstore as well. You can't really segue that other than hey, you want to go do Advil outside work? So you have to kind of find other ways to segue.
Yeah, you have to find a common ground besides just being ugh, I don't want to be here today. There's only so much you can talk about your own job at your work before you have to be so, what do you do outside for fun? And then that's when you kind of start branching out.
Because we all have those coworkers who we just love to mutually complain to each other. You just yay, my complainy friend is here, and you just complain to each other back and forth. But then when I've had a coworker like that, we complain to each other constantly, and then we once hung out outside of work, and I was like, oh, we really don't have a lot in common. And it was not a good time. We went out, and I just was like, oh, you're a great friend to talk to at work, but this relationship needs to be a purely work relationship. And sometimes it's trial and error with everything. I mean, I don't blame the food poisoning on her, but she did choose where we went to eat, so that also didn't help my review of that
friendship.
Yeah, my review of that potential friendship. Definitely food poisoning did not help. So I wasn't inclined to hang out with her again outside of work. I still talk to her all the time inside of work, but it was you want to go do this? Oh, I'm really busy. Like, one time, she wanted to come shopping with me, and I was like, I'm going shopping for underwear. Like, I don't need an audience.
I don't need your personal opinion on my underwear choices. Thank you very much.
Yeah, like, the store's having a sale, one of those, like, 5 for $35. I go in, I grab 5, I pop them in my bag. Like, this is not a community trip. Like, I don't need you to tell me how it looks on me, because I'm not trying it on.
No, and, like, I always feel bad when you just have, like, work friendships almost, because, again, nothing wrong with it, but then if you see your friends hanging out with, like, when you make those friendships and you're able to grow them outside of work, and then there's those friends where you're, like, not comfortable hanging out with them outside of work, like in the workspace, and you're making plans, and maybe they overhear and they're like, hey, what are you guys doing? And you're like, like, for COVID, a bunch of us made a group chat, and I know my coworkers are going to be listening, so I'm just going to call y'all out. Love you guys. But we all made a group chat, and there was one coworker to this day that we have still not invited to this group chat. And it's been every once in a while someone will be like, oh, should we add him? And we all just go, anytime anyone brings up adding this certain coworker to the group, everyone just goes dead silent and the conversation ends. So we're just like, yeah, no, we're not adding you.
Okay, but in their defense, your group chat isn't all of your coworkers. Like,
No.
Like, Scout's not in your group chat.
No, it's like the young ones in my group chat. So,
like, your group chat's like definitely like the under 30.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So,
I
mean, this dude is not under 30. He just sucks.
Oh, he truly sucks.
Y'all coworkers listening, take that as you will.
Yeah. No, I think, but anyways, so getting back to, yeah, like, group chats are good for kind of a different array of things, but also too when making plans. Like, so yeah, let's say you work in a place where you have nothing mutual like with the job in common that allows you to do something. Mm-hmm. So then it comes to, okay, like, trying to talk about common interests. Like, if you both are very active people and it's a nice day out, you're like, oh, I have tomorrow off and it's going to be sunny. Oh, same do I. Why don't we go for a hike? Like, it's Vancouver. Everybody likes to hike.
Yeah.
I mean, even if they don't like to hike, you can find, like, a real easy walking trail and call it a hike.
Yeah, or you just go for a walk around down. Like, there's so many options for active people.
So that's being active is a really easy way to segue in friends, or even going to the beach. Like, 9 times out of 10, somebody will say yes to going to the beach. Mm-hmm. So those are, like, really good ways you can try to bridge that friendship. And wintertime is kind of hard because, of course, it rains all the time here.
Yeah.
So this one I don't necessarily like to do all the time, but I struggle with Christmas shopping.
Oh, yeah.
Because for me, gifts aren't my love language. So I like to take someone else with me to help me Christmas shop, because I need someone to go, what about this? What about this? Because I overthink gifts completely, because I don't know, like, gifts are nice. Mm-hmm. I mean, of course, like, I get you gifts, you get me gifts, you got me some really nice gifts for my birthday, but, like, that's personally, I'm the kind of gift giver that you tell me exactly what you want, I get you exactly what you want. You tell me, okay, I want a book, I buy you a book. Like, I'm not one of those people who, if you tell me, Kelsey, I would like either a book, a mug, or painting supplies.
You're not gonna go and buy me, like, a sweater.
Yeah, or a goldfish.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the type of person I am. So that's a kind of a nice one you can do around Christmas time. If you're trying to make friends, like, hey, I have to go Christmas shopping for my aunt. Did you want to come with me? Also, like, Christmas time is where all that weird stuff comes out. So you can be like, who needs reindeer pooping chocolates? And be like, ha ha ha, this is funny. We can talk about all the weird stuff that purposely comes out for Christmas that nobody actually ever uses.
Oh, absolutely. I found one also good way to make friends out of your coworkers is, like, mutual interests or, like, bands, because as I have I don't have weird music tastes. I just have all these like obscure artists that I like, so they'll end up going to really small venues. And I don't like going to concerts by myself, but I found like a lot of my coworkers and I like the same music. So, and then also because they're obscure, they have no one to go with. So I'm like, you want to go to a concert together? And then you're enjoying your time and you're waiting in line together, and at least then you have like a buddy and you can hang out and enjoy music.
Yeah, that's a really great way. Also, too, don't try to be that asshole who gatekeeps an artist, being like, oh, I'm going to see this band tonight, but you probably haven't heard of them. No one's going to want to be your friend. Go be like, oh, well, I'm going to see this band. And if they give you a blank stare, have you heard of them before? You give them the time to answer.
Yeah.
Either, yes, I've seen Band A, or yes, I love Band A, or, oh, I've never heard of Band A. This is just like a general way how to make friends with people, is give people the time.
No, truly, because it's the same way as making friends like in school. And I feel like when you leave school, a lot of people forget
Oh,
that.
they totally forget. Like, being an adult and trying to make friends is one of the scariest things.
Mm-hmm. You got to get past the whole coming in after the weekend going, Mondays, am I right? Like, you got to move past that and kind of, and there's only so much you can talk about your job before you just get exhausted of talking about your job, and then you just kind of keep moving on. Or if someone makes, like, a side comment or things like that, just, like, pick up on it and then be like, oh, or, like, don't pry into people's life, but if you see that, like, they're struggling with something, like, and if they mention it to you especially, or if you can tell that they're off, like, I can always tell if people are having a bad day just because I'm an empathetic person, so I'm always like, hey, you good? And then sometimes they'll share a little bit, and then I'll be like, oh, well, maybe, like, I know this resource or this resource. Like, just sharing information also just helps in general.
Yeah. And, like, I totally get that, too, but also when you're like, oh, okay, so you're in a professional environment, you can't be prying too much, so it's because you never want to come off as inappropriate.
No, and that's why I said you don't, like, unless they give the information, you don't be like, well, why this, why this, why this, like, be calm and comfortable about it. Don't just be like, especially if, like, example of, like, oh, me and my boyfriend just broke up. Well, why did you break up? Well, how long have you been together? Like, that's none of that.
Did he cheat on you? Like, do we hate him? Like, no, just, like, give someone time to talk.
Yeah.
And let them share as much as they feel comfortable. And, I mean, you can always do that, like, oh, can I ask what happened? It's totally okay if you want to keep it to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I'm a very open person and I like to share, but sometimes when some things happen to me, I don't want to be asked about it at work because I'll just start crying.
Yeah.
And I'm fully comfortable talking about it, just not right as I'm about to start my shift.
Yeah.
Like, I'll do the, like, oh, I'll tell you after work. Because I remember one time I came into work and my dog had died the night before. And the next day, everyone's like, are you okay? Or are you okay? And I just kept going, like, I just don't want to talk about it. I just want to talk about it. And one of my coworkers would not leave me alone. He was one of the cooks, and he would not leave me alone. And I was like, my dog died yesterday, and I'm, like, trying to hold it together because I have to work a full bartending shift. And then he, like, starts apologizing, but it was like, because I was holding it together. It's fine. It's one of those things. I don't talk about it. I'm at my work. I'm in the zone. I can cry about it at home. We can talk about it at home. And then he tries to start telling me about how, like, upset he was when his dog died. And I'm like, I'm trying to start a shift here.
Yeah,
like,
now's not the time, bro.
Yeah, I get it that you're sympathetic to my situation and you felt my situation before, but we don't need to talk about it.
Nope.
Wow. So I think, yeah, it's great to, like, share personal parts of your life about your friend, trying to make friends, but also there is a time and place for everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Or, like, also, too, like, a way you can kind of make friends, if, like, you have a job that you hate, which most of us do, you can be like, if you have, like, a particularly bad shift, or if it's Friday night and you be like, oh, you want to go for drinks after work?
Yeah, no, for sure. So, and that's also, like, a really good thing, if you both always work, like, the closing shifts together, just be like, do you want to go, like, because most places now even have late night happy hour, so it's not even, like, it's expensive.
Exactly.
Just be like, oh, like, just let's go grab, like, a quick drink, or, like, do you want to grab a snack, or just, like, anything.
Mm-hmm.
So. That's
also another good way to, too. I always try to segue, like, drinks or coffee before I ever segue going for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's also, too, you kind of suss them out, too, because, like, a big thing I've always say is, like, I don't like to be friends, or I will never date anyone who's mean to service workers, and I find it really weird when people who work in the customer service industry then are rude to servers.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you work in customer service. You understand what this person goes through. Why are you being rude?
Yeah, it's like a pot calling the kettle black. You can't have it both ways.
And then if you feel real adventurous, then you can move to the clubbing stage. I've done that very few times, but one time I was fully convinced by coworkers. We had a really bad night. This is when I worked in a restaurant, and they convinced me to go to a club on like a Thursday. Oh god, it was weird. I don't recommend going to a club on a Thursday.
No.
It was really awkward, and it was just the weirdest people and like men circling, and I'm like, I am not enjoying this.
You feel like you're a shark you're in shark infested waters, and you're just like, I need to leave, but they just keep coming back around.
And then the next time they asked me to go out with them, I was like, oh, I have plans. So that was a kind of a backfire on their end. They convinced me to go out, and then I realized how much I did not enjoy this, and I still ended up being friends with them. But anytime they're like, let's go clubbing, I suddenly had other things to do.
So sorry, I'm so busy. I didn't even tell you where we were going out yet. I'm just busy.
Oh, I can go for a run drink, but I have a dentist appointment in the moment, so I can't stay out too late. Gotta, time is money, and I just can't. So,
Yep.
So be very careful.
Definitely.
But those are all good things, and I know we love to hear all the happiness and the sunshines and rainbows and how to be friends with your coworkers, because it is truly hard to make friends with adults, especially as someone who has moved around. Well, I mean, we both have moved around from city to city, and starting over is not the easiest.
And I will say 9 times out of 10, or maybe 8 times out of 10, it's mostly successful. Maybe you don't hang out outside of work right away. Like in my case, I've always had a really hard time making friends at work, so it takes me 4 to 6 to 8 months to truly get comfortable with people enough for me to be like, do you want to hang out outside of work? So it takes time, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's also the nightmare situations where things completely backfire.
Oh, you want to get into the drama? Are we getting into the drama already?
We always get into the drama.
Okay, let's get into the drama. Okay.
That's what people are here to listen to.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear the good stuff. Let's get into the drama. Let's truly spill some tea. So like the thing is, you're not going to get along with everyone, no matter how nice you are, how much you try. Like when I think back, when I always think about that, I think about that show Recess. I remember TJ is like pretty much like the most popular kid in the elementary school, and then there's that one episode where that kid refuses to like him, and he literally tries everything, but this kid was just like, no, I don't like you. Like, that's the thing, is you're not gonna win everybody over, and you could be in a best case scenario where like you and one coworker are just like nice and polite and cordial to each other, but you have no interest to ever hang out with them outside of work. And it's not, but then you have the flip side where you literally have a mortal enemy.
Yes.
Where, like, you see that person on the schedule and you're like, and then you, or like me, and I'm like, can I switch my shift? Like, I have to have someone else with me in order to be okay with working with this person as well.
Or you only talk to them when you absolutely have to talk to them. Like, or you try to like, hey, can you just go ask them to do this? Like, you try to brush it off onto other people.
So should we start off with the drama slow and then build, or do you just want to get into it?
Let's do a slow build.
Okay.
It's fun to kind of we'll slowly hike up the mountain, and then when we get to the peak.
Okay, so here is some coffee house drama that I was involved in more coffee house drama than you were. I personally, I just want to say I do not seek out drama. I always seem to find it, though, and I mean, yes, part of my fault is I'm a little bit of a gossip.
Yes, Kelsey finds drama, and then I always accidentally get myself attached to it because I always seem to walk in at the most inconvenient times to places. I got no good timing in social situations.
Don't.
I'm getting better. Now I kind of am getting cues a little bit more, but sometimes I just end up walking into things and I'm like, I can't leave, and now that I've entered in the conversation, I have to stay because I'm a witness. That's my issue. I'm like, oh no, I witnessed something. Now I'm stuck here.
You're stuck with it. You're involved.
Yeah.
You can't. You're always like you should belong in the witness protection program.
No, truly, because then if things truly hit the fan, then people are like, well, Amy saw it, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I saw it. I didn't mean to see it, though.
I would like to be excluded from this narrative.
Yeah. I'm Switzerland.
Yeah.
Like,
No, you're not neutral, especially when it comes to me. Like, you like to say you're neutral, but you have to be on my side.
Yes.
That's what true friendship is, okay, who do we hate today?
Truly.
Yeah. Like, you have a coworker, I've only think I've spoken to him once, and I'm like, no, we can't stand him, we hate him.
Yep.
Yeah. You hate my current arch nemesis. You've never met her. Don't even know what she looks like.
Nope.
Yeah.
And you hate my current arch nemesis. You know what he looks like.
I
but
do. I've seen him. You haven't seen mine. Yeah.
No.
But okay, so the first one I want to talk about is, so we had this coworker. I don't think she works at the coffee house anymore.
No.
No. So, she, what should we call her? So the Taddler. So the Taddler did one thing that first of all pissed me off. So I thought the Taddler was polite. She was always nice and polite. We'll give her that. Well, at least she was nice and polite to me. I don't know how she treated you. Because you were the supervisor, and she seemed like the one to undermine you.
A little bit, but at the end of the day, I could still be like, this is what you're going to do, and she would do it for the most part. So I just kind of let it go. It wasn't worth the fight.
So, like, I was nice to her at the beginning, and I mean, I was always, like, polite and cordial. We'll get that out of the way. I can still do my job and be civil. So she would start to do this thing where if she needed money, she would text you, can I take your shift? Not like, hey, Taddler, can you take my shift? It was, can I take your shift from you? Now, we're all broke. We're all working minimum wage. If I need my shift gone, I will ask. Mm-hmm. But she would try to take your shift. And then what always pissed me off, too, was, you know, on holidays, you get holiday pay. She'd always ask you about those ones multiple times.
Yeah.
So if you were working on Easter, it would be like, hey, do you want your Easter shift? Like, do you want to? And then she would try to be like, oh, like, are you doing anything with your family? Like, no, I have to work. Oh, I can take your shift for you. Because she wanted that, was it time and a half?
Yeah.
She wanted that time and a half pay, and it would get really annoying. And it wasn't like a one-off thing. I think I probably got I think she did it to me 10 times.
Oh, she did it to me multiple times. And the thing was, at the coffee shop, there was coverage shifts, which are just barista shifts, and then there was key holder shifts, which were only for key holders. I'm a key holder. She would ask me for my shifts, and she wasn't a key holder. She was only a barista, so I'd be like, no, I can't give you my shift. And she'd be like, oh, really? And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. Do you know how to count cash? Like, do you know how to do all these things? No.
No. So that was like her first straw against her. Her second straw was there was like these stamp cards that like, it's not my proudest moment, but you would buy a certain amount of drinks and then you would get a free drink. And we were supposed to rip them up. Now I was very poor. And like, it wasn't necessarily stealing, but let's just say I didn't always rip up the stamp cards.
We were like Robin Hood. We were stealing from the rich and giving to the poor.
You know, like I would take, like I would, instead of ripping it up, I would give it to a friend and be like, here's a drink. I didn't do it that often. I mean, I don't work for the company anymore, so you can't come for me. So it wasn't, but I think she had an inkling that every once in a while I would do it, and she tried to goat me into baiting me into it, because one time she took the stamp card and she'd go, here, Kelsey, do you want this? And I'd go, why do I need that? Like, you're supposed to rip that up and throw it in the garbage. She would try to goat and bait all the time, because she had a weird sick satisfaction of, like, getting people into trouble. Like, she totally was a tattletale.
She was so weird, because anytime she was on till, she'd always be like, oh, you know, if you do this, it's cheaper. If you do this, it's, like, a better value. But then she would always try to sneak around with the coworkers, and I never saw her like really tattle to our manager about it, but it was almost like she just wanted to see it so then she would have something.
Oh, she totally wanted to have something over you just in case. Like, she's one of those people who is like, I keep receipts. Like, I always have receipts just in case. I don't know. Like, I was too. I was in line for a promotion and she did not like that. Like, she started getting way like ruder to me when she found out I was up to be, because I was in the process of becoming a shift supervisor. I never did, because I eventually ended up turning it down, because the whole process took over 6 months and I was just really frustrated that it was being dragged out. So I went and I got promoted at a different job. I had 2 jobs. I got promoted at my other job, so I left.
Mm-hmm.
So it never worked out that way. Even though I fully got the promotion and the job offer, I was the one who turned it down. But yeah, as soon as she found out that I was in line for a promotion, she got real snippy with me and would try to find anything to hold it over. Or like, she'd be like, oh, Kelsey didn't do that. And some of her coworkers would be like, I don't care.
Yeah. It was also funny because she had no grounds to stand on, because as a key holder, she'd always be out of dress code. She'd always be in, like, yoga pants, or we had, like, Christmas-only shirts, and she'd wear them in, like, August, and I'd be like, no! And because she'd always try to catch me on my things, I had no shame in calling her out, because I was like, well, you know, if you're going to do it to me, I'm going to do it to you.
So yeah, that was the Tallert and the drama we had with her. Nothing too bad. Although, so I ended up getting a promotion with my other job, and then I ended up quitting, but I only gave 1 week's notice. I know you're supposed to give 2, but legally you don't have to. Also, I was there for less than a year, and I was done. So I gave 1 week's notice. So we had an assistant manager who I thought he was very nice until I gave 1 week's notice. Then he turned into like I don't know what would be the word to describe him. He turned very fake.
Yeah.
And he started talking about me behind my back, and I'm like, dude, you're the assistant manager. Like, whatever power that holds. Like, I was on my way out.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. I still showed up on time every day for my last shifts. Yeah, I didn't give 2 weeks notice, but I don't have to. It's a minimum wage job. My promotions, I still didn't have my promotion. So, like, I didn't have anything to lose. It's not like I called out sick in my last week.
Yep, very true.
Yeah. No, he was just incredibly condescending, and then he tried to talk bad about me to you, because I think he forgot we were roommates.
He didn't even know.
Oh, he didn't know?
No, because when you put in your 1 week, that's when another rumor went around about me. So he came into the store seeing you put in your 1 week and a rumor going in around me, and he was like, what's going on with these two? And then he talked to me about you, and I was like, that's actually my roommate. And he's like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah. And I was trying to be as professional as I can. I was like, this is very much blunt speaking, as, like, manager to key holder, like, as professional as can be. But she is my roommate, so maybe just if you have feelings, don't tell me, because they will probably accidentally, not accidentally, but accidentally
yeah.
be relayed back to her over a bottle of wine.
Exactly. Like, that's the thing, is, like, when people ask me to, like, okay, this is a secret, don't tell anyone, I don't count you as anyone. Like,
no, roommates don't count.
Exactly. We live in that same house, things are about to slip up, but, like, you're my vault. Like, when someone tells me a secret, it's very hard for me to just keep it to myself, and, like, I have some secrets. I think I have, like, some secrets I've kept from you.
Oh, same.
But, like, if it's not, like, well, I mean, if it's life or death, it should never be a secret. Like, when someone, you know, I mean, trigger warning, someone is, like, telling you that, like, they're thinking about hurting themselves, and you keep that to yourself. No, that's a secret you don't keep yourself. But, like, if someone tells me something dumb, or they tell me something really juicy, it's very hard for me to keep it just to myself. But I tell you because you're a lockbox.
Yes.
Or the other person I'll tell is my mother, because I know she'll never tell anyone, because I'll be like, okay, you can't tell anyone. She'll be like, who am I going to tell? I don't know who Joe is. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
You'd be like, Joe is sleeping with Bethany. And my mom's like, cool.
Yeah, parents don't count, because they're like, I don't know any of these people. It means nothing.
Yeah. Especially, like, my dad. My dad has met you many times, and what did he call you, Emily, the last time he saw you?
I think so.
Yeah.
I lived with that man for 3 weeks.
During COVID, you lived with we went to stay with my parents, because they have a very large house, and Amy lived with us for 3 weeks, ate dinner with my parents every night, and then when we were visiting them last month, my dad called you Emily.
It's all good, though.
It's fine. So yeah, my dad probably the best person to tell. He'd be like, okay.
Yep.
But yeah, no, he was, yeah, I don't, like, again, not too bad, not too juicy.
Yeah.
He was just, yeah.
Little snarky.
Little
Canadian passive aggressiveness. Nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely. Oh, here's a little juicy one. So, this is a shout out to our super fan. We love you. Thank you for the cold brew you gave me tonight. So, this little kiddo, I met her when was she 17?
17 or 18, I'm not sure.
So, one day she comes to work and she is upset. And I'm like, what's going on? And her and her boyfriend had broke up. Now, we hate him. He's a horrible person.
Mm-hmm.
He's no longer a minor, so I feel comfortable talking about this.
Yeah.
No, everyone is adults here. She broke up with him.
I think so. I'm not 100% sure.
Not 100% sure. Don't worry. I'm sure she'll let us know. And she was telling us about something he did. So I was like, okay, we're going to go beat him up. And then she's like, we're minors. Okay, I can't go to his house and beat him up. Okay. So then you and I offered to egg his house.
Yep.
Because like this is our work child. We had two work children. We
had a 30-year-old man and then a 17-year-old girl.
Yeah. There are two work children. So we're like, okay, this is my child. We're going to go egg his house. But then eggs are kind of expensive. No, actually, eggs are reasonably priced.
Yeah, but we just were like, let's not get messy.
Yeah, then you think the ramifications. Okay, what if we egg his house and the police get called on us? Like,
parents show up.
They have security cameras. So we're like, okay. And I was like, okay, what revenge can I get on this kid? And I was like, okay, I need his phone number and his email address. And she's like, well, what are you gonna do that? And I was like, here's what you do. Here's a petty revenge. You sign them up for everything. You sign them up for every email list you can find, every mailing list, like phone number. Just sign them up for anything and everything. Like, you sign them up for, like, I don't know, underwear stores, like pet stores. Just like, it's not so much like weird things, it's the volume.
Every time you go to a website nowadays, it's like, sign up for 15% off. Just every time, just don't put in yours, just put in theirs.
Put in theirs, yeah. That's all you do. Just keep putting in their email because it's not, you don't want them to think they're threatened. You just want them to be very inconvenienced. Like, when I wish bad things on people, I never wish, like, I don't hope, like, anything terrible, like, I hope your cat dies.
No, but like, you hope that, I hope on your commute home you hit every single red light.
I hope you miss the train every morning.
Yeah.
Like, you want to wish inconvenience on people. Like, that's petty revenge. You want to wish all the inconveniences. Yeah. Like, I hope you lose your bus pass. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Never anything terrible.
Hope you get caught in the rain without an umbrella.
I hope the one time you take the train and you don't pay for the ticket, you get stopped by the transit police.
Exactly.
Right? Like, you want to wish the petty revenge. So I was like, here's what you do. I don't think she ever did it.
No, I don't think so either. But honestly, like, it's whatever. It was more just like the idea of, like, because she was like, I don't know what to do. We were like, well, do this.
And like, was that workplace conversation should be had? No. Was I going to look out for my work child? Absolutely.
Well, yeah. Don't hurt people. Don't be rude.
Yeah. So if someone does terrible things to you and you want petty revenge, there is a suggestion for you that I can or cannot condone. Ooh, here's a juicy story. So again, this was my last week. And so me and this coworker did not get along. Mm-hmm. I think we called her out last podcast, but I really can't remember the name we gave her.
I don't know.
So we never got along. There was the first instance, well, we just never got along to begin with. But it wasn't, I don't know why, it was just, well, it was two personalities that did not mesh. Part of it comes from the Christmas party.
Yeah.
Where we went to Japanese barbecue. That was my very first time going to Japanese barbecue. Mm-hmm. So I'm a very good cook. And then I also worked at a Mexican restaurant as well, being a cook. So I know what food you can and cannot have. Now, here's the number one thing. A steak, for me personally, a steak should never be well done. Mm-hmm. Order a burger. If you want a steak well done, you order a burger.
Yes.
And what meat always has to be cooked through thoroughly?
Chicken.
So we get Japanese barbecue. The meat comes out first, and I am like grilling this. Oh, I'm grilling the strip of steak. Oh, I love steak. Steak is like one of my top 10's favorite food. And it was her and this other coworker that I also like. They were basically the same person. Like, I didn't get along with either of them. The personalities didn't match, and I can't remember which one it was out of the two of them. But I was perfectly filleting the steak. It was going to be like a gorgeous medium rare. What do? They slap a slab of chicken right on top of my steak. And so, you know, you never cook steak fully through, but you have to cook chicken through. So I was like, what are you doing? Like, I like flipped out at the table, and like everyone, I think there was like a lot of us at the table. So the whole end of our table turned at me. They're like, what? Like at my little freak out. And I'm like, you can't put raw chicken on top of raw steak. And then they both give me like the dirtiest glare. And I'm like, you both are adults. You both are older than me. How do you not know that? Like, I mean, it's over dramatic that you tried to poison me.
I don't think they meant it, like, intentionally, but it's still the fact that, like, they didn't even, like, think twice about it.
Yeah, because I also hate that, like, they're two very self-centered people.
Yeah.
So that I'm like, also, too, they didn't even, like, try to either, A, keep it on the other side of the grill, but also, too, they were all the people who go around and change the grills out were, like, once you were done with the steak, then they would give you, like, a new grill for the chicken. That's purposely why they bring you the chicken after they bring you the steak. So, like, that was their very big strike in my book, and, like, I still hold on to that. I know it's incredibly ridiculous and petty. So, on my last week, so I had never really liked her since, but, like, I'd be polite and cordial with her. Then my last week, she corners me in the back, and she's like, why don't you like me?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, look, dude, like, I have 1 week left. Can't we just, like, we don't need to be friends. We don't need to be taught, like, I'm cool. I'm not gonna have a fight with you. Well, I need to know, like, why you like me. Like, why do you hate me? And I'm like, dude, I have 1 week left, and I plan on never speaking to you ever again. Like, I have no personal interest in how you feel about me. I don't care if you hate my guts. Like, I do my job. I show up for work. I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
Yeah.
Like, and she, like, corners me in the back, and she keeps going, like, and I'm like, look, dude, we have nothing in common. You do your job, I do my job, move on, leave me alone. And she has, like, fully cornered against the fridge. I'm just like, leave me alone. And then I had to do the fake, okay, well, we're good, right? And I gave her, like, a hug, and I am not a touchy person, too, either. So I was like, we're good. So she would literally let me move around her. And she's the same height as I am, so it's not like she had any height on me.
No, she was just very persistent, and she wasn't gonna let you leave.
So, that was, I was like, this is my last week. I am here to make some drinks, drink 8 cups of coffee a day, and then be on my way. But yeah, do you have any drama before we get to the big story? Yeah. The big story is coming up, but I think
kind of just, like, loop back a little bit about when you gave in your 1 week when we got our new assistant manager. So at our coffee shop, assistant managers don't stay around for very long. And he seemed like a nice enough guy, but at the time, like, you would just put in your week, and then a rumor had started going around me that I was stealing food. And that drove me up a wall, because I'm pretty sure it was even you who came home and told... No, it wasn't you. It was BB. On our last podcast, we talked about BB.
Yeah, BB.
She told me at work, she was like, Amy, I need to tell you something. And I was like, what's up? And she goes, so, like, earlier in the morning, they were, like, talking about you. And I was like, talking to me about what? And they're like, they're saying that, like, you're taking food. And I was like, what? So at this coffee shop, there's a long time ago, there was rules saying we threw away food every single day, like any food that was, like, open or had been told it was a best before fresh date, we had to be thrown away, or some stores donated the food to, like, homeless shelters, all those kind of things. Certain stores and certain managers would allow you to take things home on the down low. And I am not saying whether or not I have or have not taken food home. That is not the point. Mm-hmm. The point is I was accused of doing something that I may or may not have done, or that I have also seen other people may or may not do.
And I'm pretty sure who accused you of it, I've seen them do it.
Yes.
Because the thing is, like, no one is innocent.
No one is innocent of this fact. Everyone has done it at least once. I know for a fact my boss has also done it. So no one is innocent in this whole story. And the two people who accused me were the two older key holder shifts who didn't like me. So BB told me, and then we had another coworker. I'll call her High Tops because she always wore high tops to work. Then I got high tops, and she said I was copying her, but I wasn't. She was leaving. So anyway, so I was talking about at work, and she was like, oh, they asked me to look out for you at night to see if you were taking food. So they were trying to get someone to spy on me to see if I was taking food home. And I was losing my mind. I was like, what do you mean they're having you spy on me? And she felt terrible about it. That's why she told me that they were asking her to do this. So then I confronted Scout about it. And she was like, oh, no. It was all braces. She was the one who was saying your name wrong. I've never said your name. And I was like, okay, sure. Then I confronted Braces about it, and she 100% admitted it. She was like, yeah, well, people have said that they've seen you take food, so I was just only going off of their word. And I was like, I would have preferred if you would have asked me and come to me before going to our brand new assistant manager, and now he thinks I'm like a thief.
Braces was also the one who cornered me against the fridge.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was just very, very frustrated, and she did end up apologizing. So I'm not saying she's a bigger person, but, she can admit that she's wrong, so that's something. And that was not great.
Yeah, she's very much one of those people who, like, you can tell when her personal life is going well and when it's not going well. When it's not going well, she decides to make a problem.
Yeah.
And come after someone. And, like, I'm sorry that if your personal life's not going well, but, like, I didn't do anything to you outside of work personally, so do not come for me.
Yeah, no, I think the rest of my drama is pretty intense, so we'll start with yours, and then we'll backtrack to mine.
Well, speaking of High Tops, my biggest drama happened with High Tops and another coworker. High Tops and Bleach Blonde. Now,
that's fair.
High Tops and Bleach Blonde were very good friends.
But only at work.
Yeah, only at work. Now, I've had a problem. So, I am not the hottest bitch in the room. But I am, like, conventionally attractive.
Mm-hmm.
So, every time I seem to walk into a job where there is a really, really pretty girl, and she feels threatened, which I don't get, because I'm not threatening. Like, I mean, yes, I have kind of a harsh face.
You just have, like, a tough personality, and I think that's what scares people.
So when I join a job, and then they're used to being the prettiest person, the prettiest fish in the pond, they always seem to act weird to me. And I thought the first time it happened to me, I thought it was just totally a one-off, and I was like, oh, me and this girl just do not get along. Then after the fourth time, I was like, okay, so there's, like, a weird power issue here. Like, I get it. You were popular in high school. I was not. It was very much an ugly duckling. So, like, there's... that person who's been pretty their whole life and then knows they've been pretty their whole life?
Yeah.
Or, like, if you look at 12-year-old me, we do not know how that became this. Like, I don't know how that became this. But, so, her and I already didn't really get off to the greatest start. Like, she just kind of had a weird thing against me, and then I, like, didn't really like her. Again, personalities didn't mesh. We could have some conversations. Like, at first, we both, like... She loved Vine, so we'd go off and talk about Vine references, and that was fine. And she was friends with BB, and I really liked BB. So we had this regular who would come in all the time. Him and his friend would come in all the time because there was a gym right underneath the coffee shop.
Yeah.
So they'd either come in before or after the gym. Now, High Tops was very... She pushed the boundaries when it came to regulars, because you have regulars, you can come in, they can have a conversation with them, and you can, like, feel like you get to know some regulars, but they're still a customer. You're still working. You're at your job, so there's things you can and cannot say. Like, there was one regular who literally showed me his dating profile, and I was like, no, you look like a serial killer in that photo. like, he was like, why am I not getting any matches? And I was like, well, you look like a serial killer and you have one photo and it's not a good photo of you. That's why you're not making any matches. So, like, you can have a kind of a repertoire, but you have to let them approach you with it, not you. So he would always come in with his friend. Now, this bodybuilder, he would talk, his friend would not. Yeah. He would stand, like, half a step behind him, and the bodybuilder would always order for the two of them. So me being a I'm an openly bisexual woman. And Bleach Blonde being part of the LGBTQ plus community, even though she wasn't. She thought it was okay to ask me, do you think he's gay? And I was like, well, that's kind of none of your business. Like, it's absolutely none of your business how someone identifies. Also, they're not your friend. They're a customer. Well, I've talked to him once outside of work. Still not your friend. Still a customer. Still, I don't. And then I said to her, like, I don't care if somebody is your best friend. You're still not allowed to ask them their sexuality.
Especially in, like, a public work setting where it's not like you're being like, psst, hey. It's like, I have a grande latte for so-and-so. By the way, are you whatever? Like, it gets very loud in a coffee shop and you never know who's listening in, right?
So she decided to ask. So even after I told her that would be highly inappropriate, she full on asked him while she's working, so are you gay? And he's like, and he ended up not being gay, and they were just, like, really good friends. And I mean, like, yeah, sometimes if you go out with the same person all the time, like, you and I, we look like a lesbian couple half the time.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we're close, and I'm like, when I'm sad, and I'm like, crawl into my bed and hold me. But, like, again, that's nobody's business.
No, yeah.
So, like, even also, too, what I'm very much the person, like, someone who took a little bit while to come out.
Yeah.
It's
just nobody's business.
It's nobody's business. Like, you neuld never asked me.
No.
I told you.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be. So then I was very upset about that. Especially like, I was the wrong person to joke around with it. So then I felt very uncomfortable with it, and the two of them made it this big joke.
Yeah.
Her and Bleach Blonde made this big joke about it. I was like, this is not a joke. Like, it's not funny. You were at work. Like, you're wearing an apron. This is very unprofessional. Everybody has a video camera. If they record it, then you have a lawsuit on your hands. So, you know, and I didn't want to work with them. And my manager one time asked me, like, look, is everything okay? He's like, you're kind of, because they were like, because after that happened, they were like, Kelsey's being hostile towards us. And I was like, because my manager's like, is everything okay? And I was like, no, this is what happened. I was like, okay, if I'm being hostile, this is why I'm being hostile. Because they made a very inappropriate comment to a customer, which was highly inappropriate, and I was like, this is not okay. And I also had my problems. It didn't help that Bleach Blonde was a terrible employee.
Yeah.
He was always late. He was a terrible employee. He spoke Spanish.
Yeah.
He would speak Spanish in front of, like, he would speak terrible about customers in their face in front of, like, in Spanish.
Yeah.
Even though, like, a good part of the population speaks Spanish.
Yeah.
So I think that's incredibly rude to speak any language about anyone in front of them, because, like, also, you two, like, you don't know, maybe I fully speak Spanish. So anyway, it was a big blow up. The two of them decided to hate me. I hated them. It was a very uncomfortable work situation. A little bit of me helped when he started losing his, like, shifts, because I feel like this place doesn't fire people. They just, like, start taking away your shifts.
No, they just start taking away shifts, and he wasn't great as, like, a worker, and a lot of people were, like, complaining, and he always was talking about leaving, so he ended up leaving because he found other jobs, but it was also because they were taking away shifts, but besides the point.
So that was definitely my biggest drama, and I feel like, I wonder if her and I could have ever been friends, but I think it was an age difference, and also, too, someone was looking for drama.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I didn't mean to start something, but when you do something inappropriate, especially, like, that's something that I couldn't let go.
Fair. No, I think the worst coworker drama I've ever had was at my old mall store. So a bunch of us were all around the same age. We started becoming really good friends. And we ended up wanting to hang out and drink together. I don't know why that is the pathway we decided to go down, but everyone was, like, young, in college, just wanted to have fun, wanted to drink, wanted to relax. So my birthday was coming up. Not to take away from your birthday, but my birthday, whatever, this was like 3 years ago now. My birthday was coming up, so everyone's like, let's have, like, a house party. Let's have some fun. So I was like, yeah, like, let's do it. And we got, like, drinks. A friend made Jell-O shots. It was, like, a barbecue. Like, a bunch of our coworkers were there. It was going to be just a really fun time.
Oh, the Jello shot should have been the warning.
Not only the Jello shot should have been the warning, also our friend who was hosting the party, we'll call him C. C was hosting the party, and he also had absinthe at his house.
Oh.
And we were doing Jello shots and drinking, and my thing when I drink is don't challenge me, because I'm like, no, fuck you, I can do whatever I want, I'm drunk, I'm invincible, like, let's do it. So he was like, Amy, have you ever had absinthe before? And I was like, nope, I'm willing to try it though. And you know what? Not actually that bad. But besides the point, that's like, what, 99 proof?
Yeah, nobody casually just has absinthe in their house.
No, and like the whole sugar cube thing, it's quite the show. So anyway, we were drinking absinthe, Jello shots, doing other shots. At one point of the night, I puked pink, which is very on brand for me.
Oh, I've seen you puke pink before.
Yeah. You know, it's if I had a nickel for every time that's happened, I'd have 2 nickels, which is not a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice.
Truly.
But anyway, we got so out of control, and I got to the point where it was, I think, like 2 or 3 in the morning, and my brain clued in, Amy, you have to work at 10:30 a.m. the next day. And I was like, oh no. And I told everybody around me, because we started getting that like emotional drunk. Like we all just started sharing stories and just being like, oh, like I'm so sad. Like we love everybody. I set an alarm on my phone and I was like, guys, do not let me sleep through this. And I ended up passing out in C's like bed because I just passed out there. Nothing happened. Like, that was totally fine. He just put a blanket over me. I wake up, and because we were in the basement, it was pitch black. I wake up, I go to look at my phone, and it's not turning on. And I'm like, oh no, did it die? And I go and I turn it on, and the first thing that pops up is all my alarm notifications. And I'm like, I look at the time. It is 12:15 in the afternoon. I was supposed to be at work almost 2 hours ago. And I'm like, crap. And all my coworkers knew it was my birthday because a bunch of other coworkers were at my party and the ones who weren't just weren't there. So I call into work and I go, hi guys, it's Amy. And they go, oh, hey, how you feeling? And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm not going to be able to come into work. So I ended up not coming into work that day. Still got my shift covered though by some miraculous thing. I had an 8-hour shift that day. Still got it covered. Anyway, I went into work 2 days later and got written up for it. Which, technically, I shouldn't have gotten written up for it because it's not like it's even that bad of an infraction, like calling it. It was just because I had other coworkers. I got them involved. That was the whole thing, and it ended up to my manager hating me, which led into a whole other load of drama, which basically, long story short, water balloons started ending up in the back room. No one knew who was putting them there. And it always was on my shift. So my manager thought it was me because of the write-up I gave him, which it wasn't. I had no idea, A, where these balloons were coming from and who was filling them. But then I started cluing into it by the 3rd time. It was C. C had just quit and was coming. Every time I was working, he would go into the back room, say hi to everybody, fill up a water balloon, and hide it somewhere in the store. So I told this to my manager. He still didn't believe me. He tried to write me up one more time. But he never went through with it because there was no proof. There was no cameras.
Why the water balloons?
I don't know. It's because we had balloons for like celebrations that we'd put up in the store. But then he got bored and tried to do that. So anyway, I ended up like transferring out. And as my last final goodbye, because he tried to write me up over this, I was like, well, you know what? Since you think I did this, and he never threw away the balloons after we figured out who it was, I put my store keys in a balloon and put water in it and then put it in his little locker. And I put a little card, being like, bye.
Did you put a sorry for your loss card?
I should have. I truly should have. But I didn't. Yeah, that was probably the worst coworker drama that affected me. So,
yeah, I feel like the coffee shop was like moderately salacious. Like I have way more dramatic drama, but like it's for a different time. Like I'll save dating your coworkers we'll save that one for Valentine's Day.
If you guys are interested in dating your coworkers or crossing the lines into that dangerous territory, let us know.
Oh,
like,
God.
tweet us, tell us on Instagram, whatever you want.
Because we can have a whole podcast. If people are really interested, maybe we'll do it before Valentine's Day.
Because that's a whole other world.
That's a whole other bag of worms.
Yeah, a whole other ball game.
No, I think it's very much a high risk. It can be high risk, high reward trying to make friends with your coworkers. Yeah. I mean, again, when I met you at a job interview, I did not think we would be on my bedroom floor filming a podcast.
3 years later.
But I've also met coworkers that I'm like, oh, this person and I are going to be best friends. And then in my diary 3 weeks later, going all Regina George in my burn book. I hate her. She sucks so much.
You know what I think is almost the worst case scenario? When, and maybe this just applies to me, I got really good at making friends with my coworkers as I was leaving the store.
Oh, that's the worst.
And that's the worst because you don't know when you're going to get to see them again. And there's only so much social media you can do. And then people also, the coffee shop is not, for anyone under the age of 27, the coffee shop is not your full job. You need to leave the coffee shop at some point. Do not become a lifer. Do not life out at the coffee shop. So a lot of people leave and then you don't see them anymore.
It's just you move on with your life, right? Like there's some jobs that are meant to they're not your career, they're a job. Mm-hmm. And you're meant to move on with your life. And some people are, like I don't talk to BB really anymore. And when she quit and then I quit, we just transitioned out of each other's lives. No big drama happened. It's just you grow apart. You realize also how much you really didn't have that much in common.
Yeah.
And then you have the people who you have not worked with. I have a friend we worked together when I was 19 years old. And we are still very good friends to this day. And I'm going to say this is one thing is why I have kept friends for so long is I used to be like, why am I making all the plans? They never call me. So I stopped calling people because I said, I'm always the one making the plans. Friend A never calls me, so they don't really want to be my friend. But what I've learned is that's not always true. Some people are just... it's not they're not calling you because they don't want to. It's sometimes they're afraid. Sometimes they're just irresponsible.
Like me.
Yeah. Like, Amy and I are still friends because it's very much because of my persistence. Mm-hmm. I would call you at least when we lived apart. I called you at least once a month, and you talked to me on the phone for 2 hours.
Oh yeah, because my thing, and this probably goes out for other people too. I always have a thing. I'm like, I'm so scared because I have a very tiny fear, not tiny, pretty big fear of rejection. So I never want to make that first step. But once you let me in, I'm here forever. Like, I will stay on the phone with you for 2, 3, 4 hours, and you're like, I gotta go. Oh, but no, blah, 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 blah. No, I gotta go. No, I still have all this to tell you. Well, maybe if I would have just called you more, then we could have had shorter, smaller conversations over a long period of time. But you have to hold people accountable. Mm-hmm. That's the thing.
And, if you want someone to be in your life, just... give them every opportunity to be in your life. Like, don't just because someone doesn't call you doesn't mean that they don't want to be in your life. They just are not the greatest at showing it or going about it. Like, I used to be a 1-strike person, but now I'm very much a 3-strike. Mm-hmm. So give your coworkers time because you can develop lifelong friendships.
Absolutely.
Just know when to go in and when to bail.
Yep. And if you start catching feelings, just be careful.
Oh, God.
But that's another episode.
That's another episode for another day. And I think that's where we will end it today. So thank you very much for listening. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, subscribe on YouTube.
We're also on Spotify and on Anchor. Yeah. So wherever you want to listen to us.
Yeah. And I want to give a big shout out to our super fan, our kiddo. Thank you so much for listening, and
have a great week. Have a good work week.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.